I want to welcome you to Loosen Up Yoga. I'm your host, Amelia. And to start, take a comfortable seat on the floor and soften your gaze. So let your eyes gently either close or just soften and tune into your breath. Starting to notice how it feels in your body. Shifting to inhaling through the nose and out through the mouth if that's accessible for you. Otherwise, just do the best that you can. That goes for everything in this class. Consider everything I cue or tell you to do as a suggestion. You know your body best, so if something doesn't feel right, you stop. Think of the crown of your head reaching up towards the ceiling, lengthening your spine. Feel the weight of your bottom connecting with the floor or a cushion, whatever you're sitting on. Bring some length between the top of your head and the base of your spine. Deepening your breath. Taking a moment to transition from the previous part of our day into this possibly more slow, more deliberate piece of your day. Okay, let your eyes gently come open, come back into the room together. And I should mention again, some of you have heard this already, but we'll be using something like a yoga block or a book or even a cushion, as well as something to lean on like a chair or the side of a surface like a desk or even a bed. For our warm-up, we're going to do this on our backs today. So come down onto your back, just with your knees bent, feet flat on the ground for the moment. On your next exhale, hug your right knee into your chest and then extend the left leg. So we've got the right leg hugged in and the left leg extended. Breathing here. Using that deliberate in through the nose, out through the mouth, tight breath. Now bend that left knee again and take your right ankle over your left knee into a figure 4. So this is a nice opener, gentle opener for the hips. From here, you can stay in this position and possibly have some gentle pressure on the inside of your right thigh. Or you can even lift that left knee up, hold on to that right foot, and pull this whole thing in towards your chest. That's optional. You can keep that foot down or raise it up. On your next exhale, let your left foot come down to the ground if it's not already, and then let it stretch out long, but keep that right foot above the left knee. Inhale here and exhale, twist over to the left. Take that left hand to the outside of that right thigh or knee with a gentle twist. You can be looking up at the ceiling or over to the right. The right hand can be outstretched long in a T shape or bent like a cactus. Breathing into this gentle twist. It's just a little warm up to get us moving. So come back to center. Let your right foot come down. We're going to switch. So we're going to hug that left knee in this time and stretch the right leg out long. Letting both feet just relax here. Hugging that left knee in to the torso. Remembering to breathe. And now we bend that right knee up and cross that left ankle on top of the right knee and press with our left hand into that left thigh just a little bit to open the hip. And optionally, you can lift the right leg up and press this whole thing in towards your chest, if you want, optional. And release that right foot down, straighten that right leg out once again, keeping that left foot just above the right knee on the right thigh. And now twist to the right. So that left hand is out straight or in a cactus shape. Your head is looking up towards the ceiling or over to the left. Gentle twist. Come back to center, bend both knees, feet are flat on the ground, arms are by your side. Flat on the ground. So for this first part of the pose, very subtle. So I want you to really tune into how you're feeling in your body. So notice to see where you are most connected to the floor. For many of us, it's going to be kind of under our hips and our upper back. So you may feel some kind of space under your lower back, which is very common and normal. And notice what's going on with your ribs. Are they jutting out and flaring, or are they settled into the ground? So what we're going to do is a very subtle movement, like I mentioned. We're going to work to get the ribs in contact with the floor. So what we want is, it's not necessarily pushing the lower back into the floor. Think about your ribs, the bottom of your rib cage, getting more in contact with the floor. So a good trick to do this is to inhale, and when you exhale, kind of squeeze your abdominals a little bit and press that lower rib cage into the floor. Stay here, breathing in this position, thinking about having that lower rib cage into the floor. Try and release your glutes, your butt. You don't want to be keeping that really tense right now. We want to release as much as we can. The only tension we may feel is a little on the abdominal, but it's very subtle. From here, staying in this position with your ribs into the floor, going to push into the feet and lift slightly off the ground with our butt. So this is a bridge pose, if you're familiar with this. Now, what we're going for is to try and keep this neutral line from your shoulders to your knees as much as possible. That's what we're aiming for. So we don't want to arch our back necessarily. We don't necessarily want to tuck our tail too much. We're going for a neutral plane as much as possible. Now, this could mean having to go down and reset every now and then to make sure that our ribs aren't jutting, and then trying it again. This could be just a tiny motion of bringing our buttocks off the ground, or it could be a little higher depending on your personal range of motion. So let that come back down and release. Turn over onto one side, gently press up. And the next pose, we've got two very different options for you. So we're going to be doing a downward facing dog motion, either on the ground or using the chair. So I'll demonstrate the ground first, which many people are familiar with. It's just pushing into a V shape. And this gets a good stretch along the backside of your body. You want to do it using a chair. It's helpful to be near, well, you need a wall. So this may or may not work for you. I didn't mention the wall aspect. To do this with the chair, we put our hands on the wall and we're getting more of the motion of flattening our back, opening our shoulders here. And this one is great because you can hold it longer for most of us than we can hold the V shape on the floor. So you choose. And if you don't have a wall nearby and you want to do the floor version, or you just prefer that one, feel free to come in and out of it if you need to during this hold, because we will be here for about 2 minutes. That is one of the principles of Loosen Up Yoga, is time under passive tension. So we get these flexibility gains through holding these postures for at least 2 minutes, so between 2 and 5 minutes. For this class, I usually do about 2.5 to allow for a little bit of time for explaining and demonstrating and transitioning. Breathing here. Should also mention, if you don't have access to a wall, you can do it the other way using the chair as well. Chair or a bed or another surface. So you can do it this way as well. Coming up out of it. So for this next pose, come down to the floor, take your right knee in front, your left leg in back. You're kneeling on this left leg. You can use a block here, or you can continue to use the chair if that's handy. And what we're going for is a nice opening in this lunge here. So your hands are going to be both on the inside. So our right leg is forward, so our hands are to the left of that right foot. So you can hold yourself up with straight arms. You can come down to your elbows, your forearms, if that's accessible to you. You can use a block or several blocks to keep yourself upright. Or if you're using the chair, and put it inside that right foot and lean on it. Breathing here, allowing those hip flexors to open, using our breath to relax our muscles, letting them know that they're in a safe environment. It's okay to release and open up. Deep inhale through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. Letting the head be heavy, relaxing as much as you can into the pose, releasing any gripping you may notice in various parts of your body. Almost there. Stick with it just a little bit longer. That's why the timer is so helpful. It's always just a little bit longer than you want to stay in a position. And that's where the magic happens. So stick it out if you can. Of course, if there's any true pain, listen to those signals and stop. And slowly press yourself up, carefully changing sides, maybe kneeling for a moment, stretching out those hips in the opposite direction. You're using a prop, move it to the other side, step forward with the left foot now. So lunging on the left side, inhaling here, exhaling, folding over, releasing into this pose. Breathing here. Finding as much relaxation as you can. Slowly coming up out of this position, staying low on the floor. For this pose, going to remain on our knees. So if you need extra padding under here, if it's bothering you, you can double up a yoga mat or put a towel down or a blanket. That helps. So we're going to stay kneeling on this right knee, and the left foot comes out to the side, right hand to the floor or a block if you prefer, and reach that left hand up towards the ceiling. Your gaze can be up at that hand or down at the floor, anywhere in between. This hand can stay straight up, or you can experiment with what it feels like to reach towards the opposite end of the room. So you're making a long line from your left fingertip to your left foot on the ground. You can keep your hand up straight. If it's getting tired, you can put it rested on your hip. Try not to sink into the shoulder. Keep some space in your neck and shoulder here. Breathing into the pose. Noticing what's happening with your neck. Let it release. Breathing into the pose. And gently switch sides. So we're coming onto this left knee now. We're using a block that'll come over to the left side. Reach right foot out long. Right hand comes up towards the ceiling. And then reaching towards the opposite end of the room if that feels good. Seeing what it feels like to have that long line on your right side open up. Subtly opening the chest towards the ceiling. Bring that hand to your hip if it gets tired. Neck can also relax by looking down at the floor. Finding the best version of this pose to work for you to stay here for a moment more. The benefit comes not from doing the absolute max thing that you can do, but by finding the version that you can relax into for the duration. So it's tempting to push ourselves to do as much as we can, but it's kind of like counterproductive with this type of yoga, because if you're straining and gripping, your muscles can't open up and relax. Breathing. Almost there. Stick with it, just another couple seconds. And now we can release out of this pose, coming back onto our back. Once again, this time, hug both knees into your chest, roll from side to side, front and forward a little bit. Now take your knees and make a circle in one direction, and then reverse that circle, giving your lower back a nice little massage. Great. And come to stillness. Take a nice deep breath in here. Exhale with a sigh. Now let those knees fall out to the side. Feet come up towards the ceiling, holding on wherever's comfortable on your calves or thighs, or even your feet, if that works for you. Some people call this happy baby pose, which I like a lot. This makes me think of a little baby in their crib, just holding on to their feet. You can go from side to side if you want, but you can stay in stillness too. The other name for this pose is dead bug pose, which is just not as nice. But you can kind of see why. Just goes to show it's all your perspective of what you choose to see in anything in this world. Do you see a happy baby or do you see a dead bug? Continuing to breathe. Feel free to shift your hands if need be. Let those feet relax. And gently release out of this. Feet come down to the ground, knees bent. Take another moment to reconnect in this position. So we'll take a nice inhale here. Exhale, press that lower rib cage into the floor, feeling the connection with the ground, releasing the glutes, just focusing on breathing into that space where your lower rib cage meets the floor. Notice if your chin is coming up and bring that down. We want our spine to be in a nice, long, relaxed space, which is possible. On your next exhale, let it all go. Let your feet extend out. Your feet flop open, your hands flop open, palms up. Let go of any attempts to hold your body in a certain way. Just feel the floor supporting you. This is our final relaxation pose. One last deep inhale together. Exhale with a big sigh. I'll give you a moment of silence, and then we'll bring ourselves back together to close. Bring some movement back into your body. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Move your neck back and forth. Then in a slow, methodical way, come back up to seated. However feels best for you right now. I want to thank you for joining me for class today. I hope the rest of your day is wonderful. And our next class is going to be on Monday, and I will send out an email reminder. Thanks for joining us.